Good evening and welcome to ACE Conversations, the brainchild of Academy of Clinical Embryologists, ACE India. I, Sonal Vaidya, am pleased that you all could join us today to mark the International Women's Day. Today, through this episode, we will celebrate the achievements of women in our field of infertility and embryology and also understand the remarkable impact made on our society. This episode is tribute to our guest, Padmashri Dr Indira Hinduja, the First Lady of Indian IVF. Her grit, her courage, her determination, passion, and hard work has paved the way for IVF in India and also inspired thousands of IVF professionals to forge ahead. So, without further delay, I now request our ACE President, Dr. Sujata Ramakrishnan, to begin this awe inspiring event. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sonal. Good evening, all. Good evening, Hinduja ma'am. It's on behalf of ACE, it's my privilege to welcome you to this evening. And I can't express like how happy and proud we are to have you today on the eve of this Women's Day to talk to us about your journey from the time you had completed your post-graduation in obstetrics and gynecology, and like when you joined King Edward's Memorial Hospital and Seth GS Medical College as a faculty, and where you simultaneously involved in experimental embryology, did a PhD in embryology, and kind of had a collaboration with Dr. T.C. Anand Kumar from National Institute of Research in Reproductive Health, and is credited for the achievement of India's first documented human test tube baby on August 16, 1986. Since then, to your Padmashri Award in 2011, there are more than 15,000 couples who have been, blessed with a child because of your hard work. So we would definitely like to know this journey of yours, which actually would motivate all of us here, and then to become proud women, not only in our career, but also in our lives ahead. We welcome you all to this evening and welcome you, ma'am.
So, on behalf of the Academy of Clinical Embryologists, ma'am, it's really an honor and pleasure for me to have you here. For all my young embryologist friends, I started my journey into IVF with Dr. Anand Kumar and Dr. Hinduja. Dr. Anand Kumar gave me the scientific insights on how to question, how to be very critical. And I learned all the basic fundamentals of IVF and many other aspects which are required from an embryologist. And let me realize that, the embryology, clinical embryology was not even a term which was there when I got involved in the field. What I learned from her, apart from the technology, was discipline, integrity, the kind of commitment, dedication for the patients. And therefore, each oocyte was very valuable. We could never ever expect ourselves to lose a single oocyte. It meant future life. And there are many, I think I got all my grounding from her, and therefore it's a great honor for me to introduce to my fellow embryologists, a lot of young embryologists who possibly got into the field much later after the first IVF, the scientifically documented IVF, as people say, in 1986. So to start the conversation first, ma'am, thank you for being part of ACE, and we would like you, on behalf of ACE, I invite you to be a very integral part of our association. Now, to start with, ma'am, I know your family moved to India during the partition. And obviously, the times would have been difficult, schooling, etc. So, what motivated you to go into medicine? As far as I know, nobody in your family was into medicine or a medical career.
Well, when we moved from Pakistan to Mumbai with my family. It was too small. I don't think I remember many things. Only small things what my mother, my father, my elder brother and sister used to tell me, that is what. When we came, we were absolutely hand to mouth. Except 2 square meals, we never had any luxury in the house. And we all were almost 8 people lived in a one big room in Kalba Devi, which was a love chawl system. And whereas we were living royally in Shikarpur when we were there, somehow the hard work of my father, my elder brothers, and we really moved from Mumbai to Pune, Pune to Belgaum. We also had a business in Karat, and gradually my elder brother and my father made everybody in the family educated. And today, all of us, we are very well placed. All my family members, all my siblings, all my brothers, sisters, they are extremely well placed in the family. But those were definitely very, very hard time. I really don't know how my mom, who was so royally staying there, came here with the 8 children and the husband. And my elder brother was married those days. So that means with my sister-in-law, and managed such a big family when there was no money at all.
What?
Well,
Yes,
it
sir.
was their determination, their hard work, their foreseeing, the decision making, all helped them. And we never went to any of these camps which were being laid down by the country and all. Those days, even we were not being treated very well. We used to call we were called as Nirvasi, means without any house, without any country, nothing. But we still came up. And today, if you go to see, most of the Sindhis are so rich, and maximum number of colleges, maximum number of hospitals, and all educational institutes, everywhere they have spread. But I think it says that hard work and sincerity does.
So, ma'am, they want us to speak a little more loudly, or maybe we can come to the front. So the thing is, once you got into medicine, was there anything that motivated you, or you were just fascinated by medicine?
No. I mean, when I started going to the school, I went to one municipal school in Pune. And then in the school, I fell down from the first floor. And I broke my leg while playing and jumping around, and I was jumping on the wall of the school and fell. And when I was taken to the hospital, which was a free hospital, of course, I saw one nurse who had a very square, nice, starched, polished dress and a cap. I was very fascinated by that cap. And I just somehow say, I want to wear that cap one day. So I decided that time, who she's a nurse. I want to become a nurse.
Okay.
Soon after that, one doctor came with the coat with bang of junior doctors, and along with that nurse who fascinated me in the beginning. And then she started introducing me as a patient, and he examined me and he said that she requires a surgery. I mean, close reduction. And then I was prepared. After 2 hours, I was taken to the hospital. And all the juniors doctor, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes. And that was that moment. I think who this man is. I want to be like that.
Okay.
I had decided that I will certainly wear a coat. I will also have that group of doctors with me and give them the orders and walk out.
Okay.
But that was the impression and the picture of the doctor in my mind ever since I was about 7, 8 years old girl.
Okay. So, ma'am, we'll go to the IVF part. And as I know from thing that IRR had started a program on IVF, or IRR was working on eggs, sperms. I mean, that was the field. And when they decided to go for IVF, they were looking for a laparoscopic surgeon to aspirate the oocytes. And I understand that Dr. G.B. Parulkar, the Dean of KEM, selected you for your surgical skills. Were you that keen on IVF then, or was it also a very new subject for you? Because this goes back to 1983 or so.
No, it was much before that,
Okay.
Rajvi. I wanted to be a pediatrician. I never wanted to be a gynecologist.
Okay.
Because I know during MBBS, whenever I have gone to the labor room, with the smell of labor room, with the smell of that liquor, I used to get nauseated. But there was a tremendous force from my house that no, you have to be lady doctor, you will not survive otherwise.
Okay.
So I had to change my branch from pediatrics, although I did my first post in pediatrics.
Okay.
So from pediatrics to gynac, luckily I had a good marks in gynac, so I got the house post.
Okay.
And I remember when I was in gynac as a house post, and the patient was there, I was supposed to examine.
Mhm.
I tried to examine, I didn't understand ABC of that patient.
Mhm.
I said, what am I going to do? I went to the staff, little room what we had, and started crying. I don't want to do this because I don't know anything about it. So the nurse called the registrar. See, your house surgeon is crying in the room. So please come down. What has happened at her? And my registrar was a Parsi, sweet lady. She said, what happened, Indira? Why are you crying? I said, Roshan ma'am, her name was Roshan. I tried to examine, but I don't understand anything. I couldn't make out. How am I going to work? Then she explained me, okay, come and do PV examination with me. So she did see, can you feel this? I said, yes. Now can you feel that's called cervix.
Okay.
So she really taught me and made me interested in that. Then eventually, because I had to do gynac, I did it, I took it, I finished MD. But at heart and heart, I was not very happy.
Mhm.
Then for the promotion, I came when was in the KEM. I used to live home. That was in car, and KEM was in parade. And to go home, we had to catch a bus,
Mhm.
which was bang opposite Institute for Research and Reproduction. So from there, I used to get down there, and I used to take a bus home. And in the evening, as you all know, the buses are so crowded, you will never get first, second, third sometimes. And I used to look at this research in reproduction. And those days was the first IVF baby in the world was born. So I said, must be this is the way they created first IVF. What must be happening inside? And we being just a registrar house surgeon, and here there were big government institute, Bada word tha in I ICMR. So ICMR is a big research institute. So we had no courage to enter there. One day, the I came little early. I said, let me go inside. Watchman asked me. So I said, I want to go. So one name I knew, Dr. Peter. I want to meet Peter. He let me in. So I went to second floor, met Peter, and just asked him, I'm so and so. He really received me very well. I really enjoyed the voice softly and nicely. He said, yes, doctor. I said, what work are you doing in reproduction? So he explained me that he was doing hamster egg penetration test.
Mhm.
So it's a test done in hamster egg, which was zona free. They dissolve the zona and treat it with the human sperm.
Mhm.
And depending upon how many pronuclei are seen, they would say, yes, how good is this sample to penetrate the egg and fertilize the egg. So I just one day told him that, can I see this project? You're in this one. He said, sure. So whenever I will do again, so he killed the hamster, which I was really taken back. And then he collected the eggs. Then he removed the zona, and then he treated with the sample. And he showed me after the next day how many pronuclei are. So I said, this is the way human being, because I had read the technique of IVF. I've never was interested again. And
Mhm.
I was looking for the
Mhm.
So I said, why can't we transfer this in the
Mhm.
woman? Who will give me the eggs? I said, I'll give.
And I get your seat, doctor.
Hey.
Huh.
Sorry, folks.
पानी दे लो. So, ma'am, while we are talking on this, it's very interesting how you got involved in
Yes.
IVF.
Yes. And
Also-
then he told me, you will give me. What about the ethics? How the people will say? And I didn't know anything about the ethics committee and so he said, okay, let's go and meet director.
Mhm.
So we met the director and I told him that I'll give you the egg for this human.
Okay.
So he told me how? How will you take the permission? I said, you tell me the method, I will follow in the hospital. So I told him, only thing I can do it when the women are coming for tubal ligation.
Huh.
At that time, I can connect. But I won't know what phase of ovulatory this cycle they will be.
Mhm.
So we said, that I will manage, I told him. And then he told me he drafted a letter for me, which I wrote it to the dean. And we drafted a consent form. And then I started collecting the eggs in that. If the woman comes in early phase of follicular, I used to send her back.
Okay.
I would say, no, there is no place. You come on such a day.
Okay.
And when I see the follicle, I used to puncture,
Uh-huh.
collect the fluid, and give the rest of the things to my other doctor, run to Ayala.
Okay.
It was across the road. And
Yes.
I used to say, Peter, see this if there is an egg.
Uh-huh.
Many a times we never got the egg. And
Okay.
because I used to do as a
Yeah.
laparoscopy, one needle, when you put the needle, used to get blocked with the fat blocks, fat lobule. So I could never connect. Then sometimes I will have, sometimes I will not. But the day I used to get first egg, that was my the best day of my life. Then first time I saw the human egg, how it looks like. And that's how our system started. Then we tried to get some mature, some immature, then we differentiated, which is a
Mhm.
immature egg. This is polar body, that's without polar body. This is immature egg, whatever. And then differentiation, that is how. And then we tried to mature those eggs. Very few used to mature without any knowing what is a maturation media should be.
Okay.
Okay, what they do from this age to this age, what body provides, and those we started providing media.
So-
When used to make media in-house.
Yes, I remember that. So, ma'am, going back, I think today's IVF labs have the lab and the OT adjacent to each other. We have the hatch through which we go in. Now, considering, I just for the sake of the audience, the KEM hospital was across the street of Mumbai, about 300 to 500 meters. It
Yeah.
was a gynac OT, correct? It was a general OT where the pickup was done under laparoscopy guidance, and then the fluids were aspirated, collected, and transferred to IRR. And this was done for at least even after the birth of Harsha for the next 6 to 7 years. So you can imagine that today's embryologists may not even believe that you can collect the fluids and keep it for so long. But this is what was done, and it took so long to do it. Now, ma'am, when you talked about maturation, the first egg, then I'm sure the joy of seeing fertilized eggs, embryos would have been immense.
Embryo, we couldn't get it because we had not taken the permission to
Okay,
fertilize.
so as and when everything was in place, and I think it took a couple of years and at least many, many cycles before the first pregnancy tested positive. What was your reaction then? I mean, it's a work
Well,
of an entire team,
see,
and I'm sure the entire team would have been.
we knew that our fertilization rate was very poor, as you already said, because of the distance which we were carrying with the environment which was not there. So what we created a thermocol box. And in that thermocol box, we made two outlets. One outlet to push inside triple gas and second outlet for the gas to go. And then we used to have saline bottles, flexible, keep overnight in the CO2 incubator to bring it to 37 degree and keep whole layer of the bottles and then push the test tubes in between the two so that they stay erect and continuously triple gas going. And then with that box, I used to run. Sometimes we used to get car. Somebody said, drop me across the road. Or sometimes I used to cross the road. And I was known as in that area, the lady with the box. इसको डब्बे वाली मेरे को बोलते थे सब कि ऐसा थर्माकोल का डब्बा लेके घूम. And I have got a publication for that in medical journal that how the box we had designed
Yes.
and how we did it the first
Yeah,
time.
I remember that
is
because subsequent to that, when I joined for 5 years, I used to be carrying that thermocol box across the street.
Yes.
But what was the reaction when finally you had the first beta HCG positive with Mani Chawda?
Well, before Mani Chawda, I did almost 17 cases which had failed. So it was so disappointing, as in, yeah, it won't happen, so let's cancel. Let me get. And I used to go and sit and cry if it will ever happen. So then very next moment, why cannot it happen? It will definitely happen. Definitely happen. And the 18th case became positive. And that time, I was one international congress was going on in KEM and Major Hall, MLT. And I was supposed to be chairing the session over there. But then I sent a message, I'm held up with for very important work. I cannot, you just start. So Usha Krishnan, who was my senior, she was very angry. But then she started chairing. She sat on the chair. And I was waiting in IRA for me to get the results. Believe me, when I got the written, I lost my strength. I don't know. I don't think I'm hearing it positive. I don't think I'm hearing it correct. So I saw the report. I heard again. I shared it with Dr. Anand Kumar. Oh, it was ऐसे लगा कि I have achieved everything in my life. So, and then with that slip, I rushed to KEM because I knew I have to. And the session has started. Atta are you coming now? Is this the time to come? करके उषा कृष्ण सबके सामने मेरे को. So when I went on the stage and showed my first IVF babies, then she stopped everybody to the speaker and she announced that her pregnancy test is positive.
Okay.
Believe me, each and every one in the hall stood up and started clapping. For 5 minutes, actually, they started clapping. And then they wished me. They did. Even the speaker who was there on the staff, he came and congratulated me.
So, yes,
So that was my declaration of the first IVF baby in the International Congress.
That's interesting. And I do remember because that was the time, just a couple of months later after Harsha was born, that I joined in. And it was interesting because I had no clue. My background was microbiology. I didn't even know how to spell estrogen for that matter. And here I'm entering an institute with a director of the institute. And at that point, your OPDs were so full, 100, 200 people.
Yes.
And, you would finish your OPDs and then come back to the lab, start, I would accompany you later and you sort of started getting me doing things and you were doing things. I remember those times that you possibly never had lunch. There was no time for that. And there were days where I remember entire year, there was not a single day off. What was it that pushed you? Because that sort of passed on because this was the first time I'm working outside a college environment and I thought that's the way to work. But what drove you to this level of working, consistently for the next 6 years that I saw you?
One thing you should remember, Rajvi, if you are doing work of your choice, which you has chosen, which you know it will involve the hard work, you have to do everything with your own hands. You know that including the glassware we used to wash. I never had the disposable.
Yes.
7 times we used to, so one, two,
Yes.
three, 7 times we used to
Yeah.
wash. And almost 7 times we used to distill the water to get the
Yeah.
5 liter water to get around 200.
Yes.
Because at the end of,
Yes.
and then prepare the. So you remember, Kidney, if I go, this will not happen. You forget it that what else you are supposed to do. First of all, I was doing in KM. When I was doing, I was strictly told that you will not leave KM job. And when, now, timings, whatever are there. And after that, you will work. And after that is after 4 o'clock. Before 8 o'clock in the morning. So during that, this one, I used to just pinch some time and come to IRR to finish and rush back.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my name will be reported.
Okay.
I don't think that we had such a nice cooperative people who will not. Every other day, Dean will call me and fire me.
Okay.
You did this, you did that. I said, "Me karu tarika hai. What should I do? I'm doing like this. I'm doing it, picking up in the middle of the night and doing. So where is the time for the food, you know?
Yes.
But at the same time, they were very nice people too. Like some my senior doctors and all. They, 2, 3 people used to bring lunch for me from home. And they say, okay, I'm bringing in the theater and changing room, we'll give you a few morsels. They'll
Okay.
shove in few morsels in my mouth. I said, go now, go and work.
Okay.
There were some very cooperative people
Yes.
as well and helpful people.
So
Quite. When they are told they
Yeah.
will report my timing was spoiled, my operation was delayed, I have to this.
So, ma'am, it's very interesting that you're talking about the cooperation that was there. And today people talk about the interaction between the clinicians and embryologists. Some have a good rapport, some are listening to orders. But I must say that when I started with you, I never looked at you as a clinician for that matter, or somebody, there was a very nice rapport that developed. And I would like to tell the audience, because there was no agonist then, so pickups would be any time of the week, and with Murphy's laws they would generally land up over the weekends. We may have nothing on a Tuesday, Wednesday, but a weekend invariably there would be a pickup.
Yes.
And those were the times, ma'am, if you remember, that there was this Mahabharat serial on, or a Ramayana,
Yes,
one of those, which ma'am loved. So we had this kind of a deal between us, because the serial was 10 o'clock, so by the time it would get 11, and imagine a pickup after that, then 45 minutes later you come and screen, then pre-incubate for 4 hours and then inseminate. So I requested ma'am, and if we could do the pickup early morning, because I used to have yoga classes 7 to 9, and ma'am was so cooperative that 5:30 we would do the pickup at
Yes.
AM,
Yes.
and then the pre-incubation time was okay, so both of us could work. So that's the kind of
How do we manage?
we managed, where it was so comfortable to work with, which I feel may or may not be there today. Ma'am, going back in time, IVF, did you ever in your wildest dream think at that point of time, or even the first 5 years of IVF, that it would become what it is today?
Well, I don't think so. I never thought that it's going to be so popular and so widely spread. Every nook and corner there will be IVF.
Mhm.
Well, I felt that yes, there will be a lot of centers, but
Mhm.
this was not my imagination also.
Mhm.
But this happened.
What's
It's good.
Yeah, but what do you think about the kind of IVF in the early days, say first 5-10 years, to what it is today? Do you see a difference in
Well,
the type of embryologists and clinicians?
I feel so. You see, as you asked me first that I've never seen you clinician, I was clinician. I used to look after, deliver, operate, and then come back here, and then spend some time in the embryology. So it was 2 in 1 rather. I don't think I got any help from there except Kusum. When I used to do the pickups and all, I used to call Kusum to screen and put in that box and all that. And she used to merrily come. But those days, we all used to sit and discuss that why it failed, why it failed, where did we go wrong. That among ourselves discussion was the only final discussion.
Hmm.
And then we used to go and discuss with Dr. Anand Kumar.
Yes.
And then if we find a solution, we'll do all over again, we will go otherwise. One day it will definitely happen.
Mhm.
But now, as you say, it has become very necessary to react because the field is so limited, everybody is dealing. Clinician won't know anything about embryologist. Embryologist won't know anything of the clinician. But it's essential that embryologists should also know the bit of a clinician's work. Yeah, stimulation protocol, the type of drugs and the effect of those drugs, and vis-a-vis. Even the clinician should know why the eggs are spoiled, what is happening, with this the fault with you, is it the fault with the drug, is it the fault with the picking up, is the pressure which is more. They should also know between. So even though with your own hands you are not doing embryology, but you must know something about embryology. Even though the embryologist is not doing anything delicious job, then he should know something about it. He may not do day to day. We're not probably permitted to do it. But unless you have the knowledge of second half of the procedure, I don't think it's going to.
So do you think that is lacking in today?
Of course.
Okay. And the solution would be for both to
Both to
interact.
interact and know each other's work.
So speak with the ease with which we could talk. I mean, I came in knowing nothing, but yes, it was very different because we could talk to each other much later. Initially, obviously, I was only a listener. There was no question of talking for a couple of years. What do you find with the new generation of embryologists that you have seen in the last 35, 40 years?
So it has become like a factory.
It is like a factory. And
Production
the
is
products are good or variable?
Well, products are good because there are a lot of changes in that. There's a lot of improvement in this. And there is a lot of facilities available. Therefore, the product is definitely better.
But do you think the embryologists themselves need to put in more to what do you find lacking in the current generation?
I suppose they should put more, not theoretically, but also the practically. They should be involved. Why I did the ICSI yesterday, everything was there. Why it did not fertilize? Why it became uncommon? Why it became 3-pronuclear? So you should go and find out the
Question.
rather than how many fertilized, how many did not fertilize, how many had a fragmentation, how many polynuclear. And ये सब नहीं होता है. So you should study, was there any difference? How did it go? Why should it go? Was it the fault with the sperm? Was it the fault with the bed? Was it the fault with the egg?
So you say that we should, instead of
Yes.
being happy about the success, we should look deeper into the failures.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now you talked about IVF and you talked about ICSI. Do you believe in doing conventional IVF today? Or you think it's only time for ICSI? In non-indicated cases.
I think it is place.
Conventional IVF has a place. Okay, because there was a time where people, of course, personally, I very strongly believe that even the best embryologists in the world cannot essentially do the work of the zona on selecting the sperm. But there was a school of thought at a point of time we should do ICSI for all.
No.
So you strongly think.
No, I do that.
You do IVF
Yes.
also.
So we don't play God, yeah.
Okay, so we don't play zona, we don't play God.
Yes.
We leave a lot to nature.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a good message for the young embryologist. A lot of young embryologists feel that IVF is more difficult than ICSI. What do you have to say to that?
Mechanical.
Okay.
Without using your brain.
Okay, so that's why ICSI becomes easier, do it mechanically.
Yeah.
So they have
But
to.
you know today, if you go back and see, ICSI is the only technique in IVF. Without doing experimental investigations, it became popular.
Yes.
You see, every media is being tested before you bring it and say that this is useful. Every needle is tested before that you use it for clinic. ICSI procedure is the only one which was never tested, ki how many are fertilizing, how many are, then it became straight away clinicals.
Yes, and I think
Procedure.
as a
Yeah,
fraternity, we were fortunate that nothing
nothing went wrong.
went grossly wrong, but we still don't know about
Yeah.
minor things that would
Yeah,
be there. Over the decades, you have always shown a lot of interest in science, I would say, which I mean by asking questions, trying to find solutions. You have collaborated in many projects with
Yes.
various researchers, basic scientists. So where did this interest in science come in?
Yes, Projects which I was just reading the other day,
Uh-huh,
gene editing,
uh-huh.
gene treating, gene therapy, CRISPR, the treatment of this one. I feel, and then and then stem cell therapy. Sachikachu, today, I feel that I'm born little early. I
Okay.
wish I would have born now. So I would have definitely gone into gene therapy and gene editing. And
So,
I love that subject.
okay.
And other day I was reading how they are trying to treat the cancer,
Uh-huh,
especially the lung cancer. So many examples I've read, so
uh-huh.
many studies I've read with the help of CRISPR and gene editing. I'm sure soon the cancer will be eliminated.
Okay.
But
Uh-huh.
I feel this very fascinating. Science is the most fascinating subject for me.
Okay. Ma'am, when we have embryologists, we have hear a lot about fatigue, burnout, and just a couple of years through, they are too stressed out. Obviously, you are so excited even now that I can't say you are burnt out or you were ever burnt out or stressed out. What is the message for these young embryologists or any embryologists at some point of time do the job because that's what they know how to do?
Other day I was reading in one article, they say maximum 8 hours of a sleep in the week is sufficient before you make the person little bit slow
Mhm.
or less concentrating in the subject. So the essential sleep in 1 week is not more than 8 hours.
8 hours a week.
8 hours a week. I'll show you,
Okay.
I'll give you the article also.
Okay.
And now we talk about 7 to 8 hours into now what from the ancient days every day.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like might be the example of that.
Okay. So,
I don't think ever I feel tired.
okay.
I feel this, it is here.
It's all in the mind.
Mm.
Okay.
It, well, if you put me in the place where I know I don't like it, I
Uh-huh.
might get tired, I might get bored, I may get exhausted. But if you are doing the job of your choice,
Uh-huh.
time is not the limit.
Okay.
Time is, I can do
Okay.
anything.
So, ma'am, message I think you have given the young embryologist or all of us, because all of us, I think, here are younger to you, that we need to sort of like what you're doing. Don't do some
Take
things,
the interest.
or if you take interest in what you do.
Yeah.
And then you will not feel the
And
experience.
then no work is useless.
No work
If
is
you
in-
suppose you are being forced to do, but you are not interested, but you
Uh-huh.
will definitely find something most interesting in that which will give you the kick.
Okay. So, ma'am, I would like
I
to.
mean, I give you an example. I hate cooking.
Okay.
I hate cooking, I'll tell you. So one day I was just, and I didn't like the subject. I said, why can't I make myself? So I read YouTube, I read this, I used the collected ingredient, this, and I'll tell you, it turned out to be so good. Okay, I feel, wow, cooking is very interesting.
Okay.
So now I've started getting little interest in the cooking.
Okay. So you're always learning and wanting to do
Yes.
things. I would like to open it out to my colleagues, Dr. Sujata, Parsu, Gaurav, if they would like to say anything or ask. Yeah, Parsu.
Yeah. See, I think this is truly a very overwhelming journey that you initially thought of, and the whole thought process. At that point of time, madam, did you have anybody to guide you in the gynec department? Like, say, when you say taking and aspirating, what needle to be used, how much to use, what syringe to be used? Is it a suction? Is it just a simple syringe?
बिल्कुल नहीं. We did with the syringe.
Okay.
That time suction was not there only.
Yeah, no, it's not there. So I was just wondering
We
how
did
you
with
thought
the
of
syringe.
all right.
Parsu, when,
We first made 10 ml, which did not work proper.
Yeah.
You see, and then we used 15 ml. Then to get in KM 10 to 15 on the spot is a hell of a job. And then we started using 20. So with the 20 slow drawn, they're completely drawn. You can't draw it like that, which will become airy bubbles, bubbles out. So you have to slowly do without it develops the bubbles. After all, there is a protein in it, and protein, when you draw it faster, there are lots of bubbles, and in that, if the egg gets trapped, all this we learn it with our experience.
Parsu, I
How was the
remember then,
transition?
Parsu, we had, when they shifted from laparoscopic to ultrasound pickup, and the first ultrasound probe came in, vaginal probe, interestingly, it didn't have a guide. And I remember, ma'am, I took the first pickup, took a couple of hours because they were struggling to figure out, and then she was practicing with gloves.
Yeah, tie the gloves,
Tie
wear
the gloves,
something like
and
that.
try to
But
puncture. So,
and you know how I have learned ultrasound? Nobody taught me. I used to fill the fingers of the gloves, tie them up, put them in the bowl of water, and then used to put, okay, if you do transcription this way, I can see the left of it. If I do this, right way. This is how left and right I have learned all this. There was a changing room. Once the surgeon, everything is over, I used to take the machine there, sit there, fill the bowl with those balloons, and put it in the water and sit and do this. Eventually, if I had to pick up the follicle which is like this, or if it is down, how do I rotate the transverse? यहाँ तक हमने वो balloon के ऊपर सीखा. Who will teach you? Who has done the pickup in this in India? We have done that. Eventually, Dr. Anand Kumar, I just asked him, show me the way, how do I fix the needle on it, which will smoothly go in and out, in and out. I can't struggle and push it and then through and through counterpunctures the follicle. Then he asked the Philips company. They say we have a guide. And then we got a guide.
When did you start using gonadotrophins and all? It was from the
gonadotrophins were always there. No?
Yeah.
Gonadotrophins
from the initial this thing.
Gonadotrophins were not there.
No?
If I tell you, you will report my name to the.
I know, I
I
understand.
have managed. I don't think I used to sing. I don't think I have to tell you that.
No, but I think later, after Harsha was born,
Then
there was.
You know that those people came could not afford the gonadotropin. It came very, very expensive. So when these people, I used to call them to give the hormones, and I used to tell them, come, no phones, nothing. तो हर्षा के बाजू में एक पान वाला था. She used to live almost Andheri somewhere. Far further than Andheri. I was in Parel. So I used to tell पान वाला, please उसको बुलाओ ना. अभी नहीं time मेरे पास, बहुत सारे पेश. So then eventually he will call. He will, Harsha's mother will come. उसको बोलेगा 5 मिनट ही बात करने का है, ज़्यादा नहीं, मेरे सब phones आते. Then I told, why you didn't come? She said कि पैसा किधर है मेरे पास? How do I come? I don't have money for the injection. I said, okay, you come, I'll give you the money. There used to be fellow, his name was Manish Medical. There I used to keep the account. And then I used to say, come. And I just drew my money and gave it to her and bought the injection and gave her. How do I go now? I don't have money for the bus. I gave her money for the taxi from this. And eventually in the evening, when I stood on the bus stop, I had no money to go home. So I walked down from Pare to Mahim. From Mahim to Khar, I had money. Just 1 to 2 rupees. Several times I walked home for hours together because my money is exhausted. Several times. You won't understand. When I go home and walk for 6, 7 miles to go home after doing entire work, if she doesn't take that entire, my money has gone, which I paid for the medicines. Sometimes I walk back.
I know. That's when you moved to Car. Interestingly, pursue 86 onwards, the IVF was done totally free because it was a municipal hospital. And the cost of HMG and HCG was like 5,000 rupees.
Total used to come 5 to 7,000 rupees.
So it's quite
And how much money I have? Nil. So I used to keep, borrowing. Manish, next month. And they used to listen.
Madam, how were patients? They
And
were
so much
like,
so.
how difficult was it to convince patients, like say, to do something experimental like this? Or did you have resistance?
Once the baby was born, the patients were pouring. And then, those banana vendors and all those, the basket. One day the fellow comes with a handful of coin.
Yes.
Keeps on my table. ये सब पैसा ले लो, मेरे को बच्चा दे दो. ऐसे लोग आएंगे. तो how can you tell that give me some money for the injection at least?
Yeah.
Pay some money.
They were
Everybody.
Yes.
And then they will say, make my pieces, make my entire body, cut into pieces, but give me the baby.
So
Our state of affair was so different. I mean, you will feel disgusted that why the hell this desire to have the baby, it is so intense. And then you ask, Kashala paije more? Why do you want the baby? She said, Madam, if I don't get the baby, I'm going to commit suicide. Why? Because my mother-in-law, my husband, my neighbors, my relatives, they look upon me such a way that I'm untouchable.
okay.
This is Indian society.
So do you see change now? Of course, it's totally different.
Yeah. Now the people are opting not to have the baby. Who the hell wants a baby?
Okay. So I think if
It is, but this state of affair is still there in the public hospital.
okay. Yeah. So I think we'll call it a day. Yeah, I
बस
think
का पैसा क्या खाने को भी नहीं मिलता था तो कहाँ खाऊं कैसे खाऊं?
yeah, that is true. So I think we can call it a day unless anybody else has anything to express. She had been, I just called her out from the clinic at 5:36 and we've come here, so I thought I'll give her some. I didn't realize Saturday is also going to be working for her, but well, that's
what actually, if I tell you what difficulty I had gone through, what else I have done it, you will be surprised, which nobody can imagine. Now I will look back and see how I must have done this. Will I do it now? I'm just asking the questions to myself. Probably no. Such things I have done to succeed.
okay. Thank you, ma'am.
But was it fun?
Yeah, it was
Junoon.
Junoon, that's true. So on behalf of AS, ma'am, it's nice for me to get back to you after a long time and just spend time with you. So it's been a nice opportunity. And yes, It's sort of
I too thoroughly enjoyed with this. This girl was my first associate who helped me in this, and then she became part of our team.
thank you. It was
Unfortunately, because IVF got closed down, we
Yeah.
parted. I never wanted to leave Kenya.
yes. Okay.
So, really a very inspiring journey, ma'am. The way you talked about it, it was like you were reliving, and with you, we were also reliving all those moments with you. Uh, I must salute to all the determination, the passion that you had with you, and I'm sure that many of us are taking the same note home today, that you can achieve anything and you can dream about anything if you just are persistent enough and do not deter with all the frustrations and all the failures that you come along, during your journey.
Yes.
I thank you with all my heart, and I'm also grateful that Ace has come up with such a wonderful episode. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.